morning. Today we are going to be starting chapter 13 in social studies. So we're going to go over those key terms that we need to know for this chapter. This chapter is all about the common good. So it's about all kinds of good things, good changes that they were doing at the turn of the century, beginning of the 1900s. So picking up where we left off with our last chapter at the same timeline. We're going to start with our first key term is the common good. That is the belief that people should work for social and political changes that benefit everyone. So the common good is common for everyone, and you're wanting to do good. You're wanting to benefit everyone. So think about the changes that we make that help everyone. Progressive movement is a movement to solve various social, economic, and political problems. Through government action. So it's people looking at that common good, looking at what needs to change to help everyone, and working through the government, working through the laws, the Bill of Rights. Remember how we said that keeps growing, it's not set in stone, we keep adding to it. So it's looking at social, economic, and political problems and working through the law to make sure it's good for everyone. So it's adding to that Bill of Rights, adding to the laws to make sure everyone is in the best place possible. So a reformer is the person who works for changes. They believe will improve society. So the reformer is the person who is working to make these changes happen. Suffrage is the right to vote. So we will be learning about the suffragists of the early 1900s. The suffragist is the person working to get that right to vote to all people. Because we know when our country first started, it was just white men who had that right to vote. And then they moved to include, once the slaves were freed, they moved to include African Americans, moving to include Native Americans, American Indians, moving to include women. So the suffragists work for that right to vote. We're going to learn about monopolies, which is the total control over the supply of a product or service in a certain market area. One person, one company owns everything in a certain area, so they can set the prices. Thank you. They can set the prices and they control all of that. Discrimination is unfair treatment of a person or group based on race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or ethnic background. So discrimination is treating somebody differently, treating somebody poorly, not just differently, but treating them poorly because of one of these characteristics. Like women not having the right to vote. So that would have been discrimination against women not being able to vote. We've learned a lot about discrimination against African Americans. So we've already talked a lot about different types of discrimination. Allotment is a share or portion of something that is assigned or given. So when you're allotted something, you're given a certain amount of it. So there's allotments for, well, let's say you go to lunch and you're getting hot lunch, you get a certain allotment of the food that they made. You'll get a certain portion of it. So we'll find out what allotment has to do with our chapter, what portions they're dividing up. Boarding school is a school at which students live away from their families. We talked in the last chapter about people having boarders at their house, being a boarding house, having people live at their house and pay them to have a room or place to sleep at their house. So that boarding means living there, getting food and a roof over your head. So a boarding school is a school that people live at, not just colleges. Colleges, you pay room and board to live at the school. This is for younger people. So there are boarding schools that are elementary, middle school, high school. So you can be your age right now and be living away from home, living at a school somewhere else. I only know of one person that's done that. One of Mateo's friends is down at Shattuck St. Mary's for soccer. They focus a lot on soccer, so that's down in southern Minnesota. And so he's in high school and he's living away from home. He's getting a big focus put on his soccer so he can go to a D1 school for soccer for college. There are other boarding schools here in the United States and over in Europe where people go, sometimes it's to get a good college prep, and they have a really rigorous curriculum to get you ready to go to some of those elite colleges. Nick.
Is boarding school like kind of like transfer students from like a different country, or, like when they switch schools?
So if somebody is going to be like a foreign exchange student, they live in a person's house. They have a host family that they will stay with, so that's different. A boarding school is you actually live at the school. So if you have older siblings that have gone away to college and they live in the dorms at college, it's like that, but for younger people. So foreign exchange students will live with a host family, so it's different because they have a family that they stay with. I know I went through these pretty quick, but that's because we have a shortened day today because we have the author this afternoon. We will be touching on these every day like we do when we start social studies. If you did not have a chance to finish writing them, you can just look them up in your book or you can watch the video. For those of us at home, we hope you are well and we hope to see you soon.